probably will create an incredibly powerful Lokpal which will destabilize existing institutions. Please note, in the last few weeks, almost exactly a month ago, one of the very powerful governments in India, in state of Tamil Nadu, was overthrown peacefully by people. Some of the key figures in that government and now some of the key figures from that ruling party in the present government are under a cloud. Investigating agencies are closing in on them. And I think that election showed that it was possible to conduct an election with zero money power. That's because institutions can be made to work. So there is a debate here. Do you have to create a mint fresh new institution which will be a silver bullet? Should it be all powerful? Or can we make a beginning by making the existing institutions work better? And I think that there is a lot of room for debate here, and I'm a little hesitant to speak for the people. I could speak for myself, as I'm sure everyone can in a democracy.
Okay, well, will it have a domino effect? Dominoes genuinely fall. I think, Artosh, you wanted to come in on the point Sanjay made there about Mr. Ramdev. Mr. Ramdev's protest and method, and the fact that Mr. Ramdev is today in hospital, the BJP will obviously be looking at it to see what political mileage it can draw out of this entire affair. How long will they take a back seat on it?
Arnab, I don't think they're going to draw any political mileage from this fast. The BJP itself is a little confused on how to react to Ramdev. The point I want to come back to is this ridiculous proposition that we are being offered over and over again, that the cause is important, the personalities are not. Yes, there is a groundswell against corruption, but for that to work or for that to be palatable, it has to be channeled in certain ways. I am saying that both Anna Hazare and Baba Ramdev, there may be distinctions between them, are not the proper channels. Both represent a certain kind of fascist tendency that we tend to like in populist movements. Anna Hazare is a man who believes in public flogging for certain things. Ramdev...
Who determines that, Artosh?
Exactly. Wants to raise a militia.
No. Who determines that?
I am raising questions about these personalities. Whether you find them fascist or not, I have the right to raise this question and put it in the public. And the problem is that in populist movements, we tend to adopt authoritarian solutions which are not going to take us anywhere.
Okay, I think Sanjay wanted to come in. Sanjay.
No, I think it's equally fascist to start talking about what kind of people should lead any kind of movement. I think that is also fascist. The point is, again, I disagree with the gentleman here for the simple reason that you do not have to start challenging the kind and the quality of people always, only because they don't seem to look like the type of people you would like to mess with or mix with. The point is, we are talking about hordes and hundreds and lakhs of people. You agree with the cause, you agree that it's right, but you disagree with the guys who somehow bring these guys together. There is something called aggregation of public opinion. Whoever is the crystallizing force has to be given at least that due. That is all we need to give them and move on. So it's not about Ramdev, it's not about Anna Hazare. You will have many more people. Different personalities come together, and if they can, aggregate public opinion to bring about the pressure that is required. And I agree with all the other points being made here. I am not talking about the kind of Lokpal that we are going to talk about, because that was not your question. I wasn't asked to respond to that. So I may agree with that and I may disagree with that. But the point is that this movement must not be seen outside of it being a phenomenon of much larger dimensions. It cannot be about Baba Ramdev or Anna Hazare or these personalities.
Mr. Kaul, there is a problem. There may be a movement which is popular. Let's assume it's popular. The question is it democratic? Let me just give you a small example. One of the main points Baba Ramdev has said is that all IT returns, income tax returns, should be subject to RTI. Do you think this is a good idea? Just ask yourself what it will mean. I think it will not only mean anarchy, it will actually create a situation where it will not be able for a law-governed state to function.
Mahesh.
So the impulse against corruption, it is difficult for anyone to differ with it.
But Mahesh,
we have to talk not about what people wear, how they dress and how they speak. Everyone has the right to speak as they are. But I'm again struck by this constant argument that people who criticize a movement are anti-national.
Mahesh, I don't think that is the issue.
We used to rule
I don't think that's the issue.
People who are leading a movement.
No, Mahesh, if I may come in, please. I don't think that's the issue. My question is, you describe the methods. Now, there are a lot of people who go through the whole litany of all the Ramdev's issues and say, this is an absurd argument, this is an absurd demand, etc., etc. The question tonight, we haven't even come to the issues, Mahesh. We come to the method of protest and the response of the government to the method of protest, the appropriateness of the government's response to the method of protest. I think we're stuck at that level and we're seeing slight levels of intolerance grow in that. Therefore, we haven't come to the individual. The slight level of intolerance has come in, and as you rightly said, this country has seen so many movements. Have we always seen these levels of intolerance to the methods themselves, not to the issues?
But I think
Nalini Singh, yes.
Arnab, if I may say, you're talking about intolerance, but look at the way the government buckled to the most successful fast that we've had in recent years, which is the Telangana fast. Chandrasekhar Rao fasted for 11 days, and the government capitulated, and no less a person than Mr. P. Chidambaram said he ceded Telangana state. So what I'm saying is, when you're talking about fasts, we have known from Gandhiji, who fasted 17 times, that a fast which is for personal gain is one of intimidation. But a fast which is a satyagraha, on which our independence movement has been based, is a fast which is permitted, and we have it in our DNA. We understand this. But when Arnab, when we are looking for instant judgments, may I also ask you a question? Why have you not debated what Iram Sharmila is saying? Why do you always, you meaning the electronic media, always bring her in as comparison with somebody else? She's talking about AFPSA, which is an extremely important issue that she's raising. One can be against it. Most of India will be against it. She is for others. We don't debate. The electronic media's attention span is that of a baby, and it decamps to the next thing. Tomorrow morning, it will have decamped to something else immediately. To a scandal or to a...
Nalini ji, may I just come in?
If we are aggregating, one second. Sanjay is talking about aggregating public opinion. You are doing that. So what are we doing?
Okay. So you made the point.
1 minute we are on this, the next minute we are at something else. Please,
Yes.
a very important role that you are playing, Arnab.
Yes, I would, Ms. Nalini Singh, you are a very experienced journalist. You are far senior to me. You were in the business of electronic media when we hadn't even joined, and I have the highest respect for you. I agree with the point you make. I would like to humbly submit to you that not only did we focus in great detail on Iram Sharmila this Tuesday, in isolation, looked at her issue, raised the points on Armed Forces Special Powers Act, but we have consistently been doing that for some period of time. The question therefore is not whether Times Now focused on Iram Sharmila. The question is whether the government of India focused on Iram Sharmila. The question is how the government of India was indifferent to Iram Sharmila, maybe because it doesn't affect electoral fortunes in Uttar Pradesh. I think that is a valid question. But to say that we haven't and that we have as you said, I didn't know what you said. I think you said we have the, at stake attention factor of an infant. I don't think that's appropriate. But that's not the issue tonight. On the question of whether the individual is important, Kumar Ketkar, we've been hearing this debate right now. My question is, should the government also show greater tolerance, greater inclusiveness? I mean, you may have someone backed by another political party, not matching your political intentions, maybe a political rival in Uttar Pradesh. But should you still include them in dialogue? Can you be indifferent to them?
But see, why do the individuals come to this fore? I think individuals came into this scene, Anna Hazare or Ramdev, because there is a political vacuum. Suppose there is an issue of corruption.
But there is a vacuum.
No, there is corruption, there is black money.
Sure.
It's not a new issue. It was there in 1972-73 when JP launched his movement. Point is the issue is there. Suppose RSS or BJP was to launch a movement, and if suppose Lalkrishna Advani was to sit on a fast, would there be so much of support to him? Would there be so much support to Mohan Rao Bhagwat if he was to go on fast? So the point is not that there is an issue. There is an issue of corruption. There is an issue of black money. There is anger. There is angst. The point is who is leading the movement. At this point of time, it is Anna Hazare or Ramdev, the individuals. You are talking about the individuals. It is these individuals who are talking about the corruption issue. They are leading the movement. Apparently, they are leading the movement. And I think they are leading the movement in political vacuum because people have begun to distrust all political parties, and therefore non-political personalities like Ramdev and Anna Hazare have come to the fore.
Is that undemocratic? Is that undemocratic?
I'm not saying democratic or undemocratic. No. Point is, why you asked me a question.
Yes,
why do individuals come to this particular fore? This is because the political class universally has failed. Entire political class of all political parties have failed, and that is why you see completely non-political figures, including Anna Hazare, who questions the very voters' rights, who questions the very voters' ability to decide the integrity of the voters. He is questioning the voters' integrity, and yet people are supporting him, or the so-called civil society is supporting him.
On that, I think Sanjay, yes.
Way out.
Yes, sir.
No, I think Arnab, your original question to him was basically about being kinder to people, about this new trend, this politics of vengeance, so to say, which I think is a new construct. We have never seen governments going after individuals, movements in the fashion that we have seen. And if really anybody is concerned about fascism, I think they should really pay attention to the way this government is behaving. It's almost mafia-like. It's like, if you attack me, we'll get you. And if you remember Kapil Sibal's threats, he actualized it when he said that we can reach out or we can rein in. And by midnight, he had reined them in nicely. And then the next day, instead of being apologetic for what they did, he actually said, this is a lesson for anybody else. Look, you have to understand this is the trend you should be worried about, instead of freaking out on what Ramdev is and what he's all about, whether his accounts are fine or not. You have a bigger problem at hand. You have what I said. For instance, you have made these people enemies of the state. It doesn't matter whether it is RSS backed or BJP backed. You still have to deal with them politically. And Mr. Ketkar is reminding us that they have lost faith in everybody. That may all be true. That may indeed be true about politics and politicians. But there is somebody running this government for the last 8 years, 6 years. These are the people who will have to respond. And now it's no use trying to say it is somebody, it's the opposition organizing it. But that's the job of the opposition. If the opposition is succeeding so far, you have to grant it to them. And by the way, you talk to the man on the street. I spoke to a petrol attendant day before yesterday, and I said, what do you think about Ramdev and this black money business? And he said that, he makes sense. Whatever the logic, his logic was, if black money comes back, sir, it will at least be used up by the nation for purposes. He's been able to sell this to the people of India. He's a better marketer of his ideas than anybody we've seen in the government.
Okay, Hartosh.
Arnab. Yeah, look, I think I'll go back to the point, because this argument I don't think is leading anywhere. The point Kumar Ketkar made, that there is a problem with politicians and public perception. But I don't think that extends to politics. The only numbers we can be sure of, Mahesh was talking, how do we know something is represented popularly, is the numbers that come out to vote. If at this time of corruption and disgust with government, we are getting among the highest voter turnouts in the states, and you will see in the next elections, whichever they are, that this trend will follow. People are looking to punish people politically. Politics is a process that will deliver answers. Ramdev is not an answer. To say that we have to bow before Ramdev because he is a messiah to rescue us from corruption is a ridiculous argument. Not to put him up for scrutiny is to miss our point as journalists or as citizens in a democratic society.
But journalists also, Artosh, isn't it a valid question that sure, you should put let's say Ramdev's assets should be put to scrutiny. So put them to scrutiny. Question is, if you add all this in, why didn't you put it up to scrutiny earlier? If you put it up to scrutiny depending on your convenience, then you're carrying out a witch hunt. Depending on which way the wind is blowing. I mean, why are people missing out that basic fact?
Arnab,
the instruments of government cannot be used at the convenience of the government. It has to be used to the convenience of the citizen, Hartosh. If the government begins to use the instruments of government to its political convenience, then it's dangerous. Tomorrow they could do the same with journalists.
Look, Arnab, that is precisely the point. The Congress is already on the back foot. But to say that questions about Ramdev's assets should not be raised now...
No, raise them. Wrong. But why didn't you raise them all the while?
Public arena. No, Arnab, let me finish.
Why didn't you raise them when you were meeting him at the airport?
Arnab, I'm not answering for the government. I'm talking about, as journalists, why we should ask questions. The questions to the Congress, you should address to the Congress. I am hardly speaking for the Congress here, neither are you as far as I know. Yeah. So what I am trying to say is that Ramdev is a man who's holding others to scrutiny. To stand up and demand that right, you have to be open to scrutiny yourself. Scrutiny on him is justified. What the Congress's aims are, we all understand. And the Congress is not going to benefit from this.
Okay, Nalini Singh.
Arnab.
Okay, Mahesh. Okay.
I would say, Arnab, that I think that the central message of all that is happening is that we are being told by even the media, but mostly by the government, that these mavericks, the Anna Hazares, the Baba Ramdevs, etc., although you have to mollycoddle them, the government is kind of indicating that it is eroding democracy. And what Hartosh said just now, we had elections to 6 to 5 state assemblies, and this wise electorate threw away it ousted governments from 4 states. So where is this erosion of democracy? Where is the erosion of the free will of the people? People are absorbing the fact that they can no longer live with this kind of inflation, this kind of corruption, and the entire, the moral fabric of India is not just one, see-through wet rag.